We are being live streamed.
Live stream.
I'm going to, let's see. You don't want me narrating. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I think I'm ready. Actually have to get up.
That is clear. Which is kind of the point. How much is a half hour early?
Everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome. I have oatmeal in my scarf. I ate in the car on the way in. Come on, Sonia.
All right, I'm on it. Good morning, everyone. It's awesome to see everybody's face in person today. I finally made it into Fat Bite. And welcome to 1 Million Cups. First, the most important order of business is happy birthday to Lisa.
Aw.
Thank you for coming in today and working all the technical stuff for us. That's awesome. Now, if for those of you who are new at 1 Million Cups, we do have a mission. We
Sorry,
what is happening here?
it's my fault.
If you haven't checked in, you should go ahead and check in. We have paper. Yeah, there's some papers up here. If you check in 3 times, you get a pen. Check in 6, you get a notebook. Just let us know that you have gotten those notifications.
What happens after that?
And our mission on 1 Million Cups is to lower the barrier of access to education, to and connection for all entrepreneurs, whether you're new or you've been an entrepreneur for a while. Eva, if you can't hear me, you're gonna have to come up closer. All right, and we have a national and local mission. Our local mission is to ensure that, first of all, you, the audience, does not get bored, right? We're not bringing someone up here to sell you their product. We're bringing them up here to share their journey, to be honest, and to be open about sometimes how a pain in the butt being an entrepreneur can be. Okay, so just FYI. We are the best 1 Million Cups in the nation. This is our region, the Southwest region, and we are the only one in New Mexico. And our key pillars is it is a presentation, it's not a pitch. We love seeing connections. So instead of just handing out your business card, have a conversation over a cup of coffee. And we are run for the community, by the community, and we want to continually be radically and intentionally inclusive and include all entrepreneurs and all businesses. And this is our mission statement. Basically, we just want you all to know that you don't have to do this alone. And if you have a business and you've sold to someone who isn't your mother, as Paul likes to say, then you should definitely come see us. If you have an idea for a business, you could come talk to us. We don't generally do things that are not in selling things yet, but we're willing to break the rules sometimes. And this is all your volunteers. We've got Paul Zotter, Adam Sparks is not here today, Lisa Adkins, Eric is online, and then myself, Sonia Doing. We all run our own businesses. We all have a lot of work to do, but we love coming here and running 1 Million Cups. And these are all our awesome sponsors. So we have Fat Pipe ABQ, which we've been here forever, 8 years now.
Yeah.
8 years. So thank you. Stuart, if you're watching, thank you, Stuart, for letting us be here for all these years and growing our audience and helping entrepreneurs. And Jason Collin Photography. Jason's here today too. Yay. More Than Organized, who brings the creamer. Thank you so much. FSL Foundation for Sustainable Living, who
Bought our coffee.
Thank you. And Noventum, who brought us donuts with sprinkles. Thank you, Brian. And in Vibe Solutions, are they the tea drinker people?
Yep.
Okay, if they're here, they bring tea. All right. And If you post on social media, use hashtag 1MCABQ.
That was just leftovers.
Okay, that's a leftover. We'll ignore that. All right, so next up, who coached Adam this morning? Come on up,
Adam
Paul.
had a couple.
All right.
I'm a team coach.
All right.
Well, that's an interesting story because there was very limited coaching, but that's because Adam is a repeat presenter. He's got the whole shtick down. He doesn't need much coaching. He has a lot of slides, and he says he's going to keep you on the edge of your seats for the entirety of his presentation. Please welcome Adam.
Yeah. Great to see you guys. Yeah, fortunately, I get the show today. There's no follow-up presenter, so I have a little bit more time. And Paul asked a very interesting question. And if you've been not in my shoes, because I wear a size 12 shoe, and everyone has their own journey that they're on. But you know, when someone asks you, well, how is it going? There are 3,000 rabbit holes that I can go down. So it just depends on what you want to know. I'm very transparent and I'm honest. So in this presentation, I'm going down a couple rabbit holes. There's a lot more that I can talk about, but I want to keep you guys on the edge of your seat. So the slide says it. I'm Adam Halpern, founder and CEO of this crazy idea called WaveOn Health. When you do something, when you put your life out there and you put your name out in public, there's got to be the reason why you do it, right? I obviously do it for my family. My wife is very successful in Albuquerque. We have 2 great kids. And I'm hoping that what I'm doing and what my wife does as a successful business person is we're setting the tone for our daughters to really have a vision that's outside of our everyday norm. We want them to have, oh, you can't see it here. Can you move the screen real quick, just off the word? We want them to be determined. I grew up an athlete. There's goals. I'm really focused on it. I'm very opportunistic, right? I'm not pessimistic. It's like, hey, let's make it work. That's why it's great to see everybody in this room. How can we all work together? And if you are in these shoes and if you're a business owner, you have to be a little bit stubborn because you got to know what you're doing is right and you got to keep on driving forward. And I'm going to share this because we all know Simon Sinek's The Why, right? People don't do business with what you do, they do why you do it. And a local dentist named Gary Sanchez literally contacted Simon Sinek and said, hey, I love it. I want you to help me understand what my why is. And Simon was like, I don't do that. I wrote a book. Like, I'm not helping people find their own why. So Gary took that as a problem, created a solution, and now he has the Why Institute. And everything that I talked about, being a visionary, being determined, all the way down to stubborn, I kind of joke, I'm an unemployable entrepreneur. That when I work within organizations, it's really, really difficult to have me fit in that box, right? When I'm a circle peg. So this understanding of what my why is, what my how, and my what really identified how I'm setting my course going forward. And what I'm going to talk about regarding my business really hits all 3. So more information about me. I grew up in Angel Fire. So that picture on the bottom left, that's me winning the state hurdle championship at UNM. So I'm one of you guys, I'm a New Mexican. I then got my, there we go, undergrad in athletic training at NMSU. And then I was fortunate to get my master's in the Bay Area and worked at Stanford. And the reason that's important, I'm an athletic trainer, which is a licensed and certified allied healthcare professional defined by the American Medical Association. So that really started to set the tone of what I'm doing that's very different. I was then fortunate, I traveled all over Europe with the US ski team on the World Cup circuit. And then I worked with Kinesio, which is that colored tape you see athletes wear. Their headquarters are actually in New Mexico, they're in Albuquerque. And I did high-level business development and education with sports medicine professionals from all over the world. US Open golf tournament, Olympic track and field trials. I went to the London Olympics and worked with the United States Olympic Committee. And most importantly, I still live this healthy, active lifestyle. It's who I am. That's this solely focused determination on what I can do. That helps me stay really focused on what I'm doing. So from the business perspective, that's the subject matter expertise that helps me really build this business forward. So if you are a founder and you are looking for investors or you're looking for customers, if you're able to speak the language and you know what those little emotional ties are, you really gain traction in the market. I then said, well, what is the business opportunity? I have the subject matter expertise. I have this vision is really different and no one else sees it. Well, what's the business model around it? Working with Stanford, working with the US ski team, but also La Cueva High School, Albuquerque High, UNM Lobos, the New York Yankees. If you're an athlete in what I call institutional sports, there's this complete athlete health management system built around you. Pro athletes, major colleges, large high schools. It is focused on prevention all the way through recovery. And people like me have direct access to the athlete, and we work with the team. And our sole purpose is to keep these athletes on the field, healthy and active. And when they have injuries, direct report to us, and we help them navigate the healthcare system, get seen quickly, decreases the cost of healthcare, improves outcomes. It works. This system has been around for 50 plus years in all these sports organizations around the world. And if you watch a sporting event from high school to pro, and you see an athlete go down on the field, and you see the athletic trainers waved on, and then you question yourself, how did they get back so quickly? Like, that's an injury that would have taken me out for 6 months. It's not the injury, and it's not the athlete that makes them special. It's that these athletes have access to this whole system. But once you age out, injury out, or just leave that system, you're now alone and you're on your own. So show of hands, who is a hiker? And keep your hands up. Who is a roller derby player? Who's this? No, keep them up. I want everyone to keep them up. Who is a skier? Who's a golfer? Who just walks once a day? Who's a weekend warrior, average Joe or Jill? That's identifying there is a big opportunity to provide the same form of support to what we call the WaveOn athlete. And I guarantee every one of you has the exact same problems as those elite athletes. My neck doesn't feel right. My low back is bugging me. My knee doesn't feel good. My shoulders, you might have a concussion. But your solution is extremely different, and it's the complete opposite. Your solution is, I'm just going to ignore it. I'm going to hope it goes away. Well, that didn't work. Let me ask my friends and family what they did. Still not getting better. Let me search Dr. Google, and it's going to tell me what happened. Well, crap, a sprained ankle. Now I have cancer. I'm going to die in 3 days. Right? And then lastly, we're all forced into this healthcare system, which isn't really healthcare. It's really sick care because it's very reactive. And it's not focused on prevention. It's not focused on early intervention. And it costs a lot of money and costs a lot of time. The third angle of me being a founder and talking about my story is I'm now a passionate user of what I'm actually building with my company. So I'm an athlete, right? I identify as an athlete because I work out, exercise, train, compete at least 4 days a week. I did a spin class today at 5:30 before I came here. I have a passion. I have performance goals. I'm wearing a wearable, so I track. Hopefully that's like most of you. On average, athletes spend $125 a month in the form of membership, equipment, entry fees, or travel. That's how we're identifying a WaveOn athlete. And at the end of 2022, last year in May, the end of May 2022, I spent a day in trauma ICU. Well, why? I had a sports injury. Significant bike crash that led to a significant brain injury and a brain bleed. So I left the house at 6:30, walked down the hallway, said goodbye to my wife and my daughters. Front tire got stuck in the train track. That's El Pueblo. If you know Albuquerque, you've gone over that train track. And at 7:30, Alicia got the call that I was being transported to the hospital. She showed up, waited multiple hours trying to talk to someone, and she finally got the diagnosis. Adam might recover in a year, but he might not ever recover. And that is really scary when you have 2 kids under the age of 8. So then she asked the healthcare system, which we're all used to, and the ER docs who had done their job. My vitals were stable. I did not need my brain drained from the brain bleed and they discharged me. And she said, well, what can we do now? We don't know of anything. You're welcome to look, but we don't know if it's going to work. And I literally left the hospital. She carried me out to her car. She had no idea what to do. Fortunately, because of what I'm building with WaveOn and the network of people that I have around the country, it literally changed my life. I worked with an athletic trainer in California, did virtual concussion therapy where we captured baseline information, leveraging technology. That data was given to both of us, her and I. She then gave me a personalized program that I went to a gym in Albuquerque on my own. I was empowered. I did certain basic exercises. And then every single week, we re-evaluated using the same technology and the data points. She looked at my progress. And within 2 months, I was literally back to normal. Fast forward, I saw the follow-up physician 3 months later. I saw a neurologist at the end of last year, and they both had no idea how I was doing so. They were surprised, impressed, and they just didn't understand it. Simply put, what we're doing is we're treating everybody like a pro athlete. That's what we're doing. And we were using data, we were using people, combining the two to create a whole new service. And we are bringing this to everyone who is healthy, who is active, who wants to prevent, and ultimately wants to stay in whatever sport they're doing. Gyms and memberships prevent nothing. Once you're injured, you're a membership waiting to expire. How many of you know someone that has a gym membership and you haven't seen in a while because they're dealing with some ache and pain in their body, right? We're getting hands in the audience. We all get it. And healthcare prevents nothing. After discharge, they're done. Recovery is on you. Another show of hands. How many of us know someone that hasn't made a full recovery? All right, and we had a big group. We know that there's a big opportunity there. We know there's a big problem. And if you're an athlete, and if you're taxing your tissues, you know your body is not indestructible. Something's going to happen from an ache or pain, discomfort, all the way through an injury. That's sports. So you're going to get it. The other half of that is, well, recovery is part of this process too. WaveOn creates an end-to-end solution by capturing data on the front end around movement health, concussions, exertion levels, and then someone like me is managing that overall health, reading the information, giving you personalized support on what to do now, what to do next, giving you advice and support, then helping you navigate the healthcare maze with direct referrals to specialists, and ultimately getting you back into competition and focusing on long-term prevention. We believe everybody should be treated like a pro athlete. We take the guessing game out. We give you resources. We help you understand what to do. As a WaveOn member, you get a digital athlete health management system with an athletic trainer like myself on your side to help you understand prevention, early intervention, navigate the healthcare maze, all the way through recovery to get you back in the sport that you love. So how our pricing model works, we have an individual model. That's where we started. We know that there's a lot of people out there, that everyone in this room, I'm active, I'm having problems, and our pricing is very dynamic. So when someone is healthy, there's a lot of value. And then when someone has problems, price goes up, but so does that value. And within the financial model, this financial modeling space, this is a very healthy business model because we're capturing the finance on the front end before the service is delivered. Oh, sorry, that's right.
No, my fault.
So we also realized from a business model, right, if you guys are founders, the B2C model, the onesie twosie costs a lot of money. We had 400 million in the bank like Uber, we could do it for marketing, education. We realized, well, we don't have that. So how do we scale? How do we go across the country? We looked at our avatar of our athlete, remember, works out at least 4 days a week, spends $125 a month, has a performance goal, is tracking, they're really dedicated. Well, where do they live, work, or play? They're annual golf course pass holders. They run marathons. They play adult soccer. They are in high schools that don't have athletic trainers like me. So we really addressed the enterprise model. So now we have organizations all over the country, including the Denver Marathon, that is very interested in what we're doing because we're bringing value to the organization and the end user. So how we're going forward, focusing on that founder-led growth. I've talked to dozens of sports organizations who love what we're talking about. And that's all part of that customer discovery. How do we scale? What do we bring into the consumer? Once we get these organizations, it's then going to be this community-led growth, right? A really organic conversations. This is what I got. You should try it too. While we're doing this enterprise model, let's get these organizations signed up. Right? I'm at 1 million cups. This isn't a pitch. I'm not trying to get your money. We want to know, well, what have I faced? What are some of the challenges? And we've all faced them. Like I said, if you've been in my shoes, that's the story where we can lock our hands together, put our arm around each other and say, yep, I've been there. I get it. And while my wife is a very successful business owner, she's never done a startup from a napkin idea to where we're going. So there's a little bit of a disconnect. She supports and she wants me to be successful, but I can't go home and talk about some of the struggles. She just doesn't get it. So I've been part of Activate NM, and I've also been part of Founder Institute, which is another big national accelerator. And I did the San Diego virtual session, and they're all great. And you gain a lot of information. However, it is a standard book that you're following. And there's no individual, hey, Adam, this is what you have to do. It's just a standard cookie cutter program. And while there's a lot of value that comes to them, it's advice. And advice only goes so far because here's your to-do list and you get advice. Well, guess what happens to your to-do list? Boom. And then you talk to someone else and then you get advice. You should do this. Boom. And then by the end of the week, it's like, I don't even know where to start. I have too many to-dos from everyone else giving me advice. So I highlighted that I actually call them advice readers. I don't call them accelerators, right? I call them advice readers. And it's valuable. There is support. But until we help each other take an idea to the next level, advice doesn't go anywhere. I'm challenging the 1 million cups in Albuquerque. We hear a ton of advice every single week. Oh, you know what you should do is this, go do this. Guess what happens? That's a do list. If you guys see an opportunity that you can support each other, do it. Which leads the conversation to the next discussion. I need Lisa to move it because this was actually the coolest thing I've done in a long time. Just move this black box. If you guys know PowerPoint, that's a standard image, and I put a New Mexico heel on it, right? Give me credit. That's pretty slick. Right? Make it. Challenges. I've seen New Mexico as a whole loves anything to do with government. Comes out of Sandia, comes out of UNM, comes out of Los Alamos. They love it. And it makes sense, right? It goes to the bottom right quadrant. There's an established business model that they know how to take it to the next level. So they invest in it, they support it, they publicize it. And the bottom left quadrant is kind of what I was talking about, the advice. New Mexico has a ton of smart people who always want to be contractors or vendors or consultants. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a capitalistic society. We have to make money. There's nothing wrong with it. But what happens in other communities around the country is people gravitate and start to work together to take an idea to the next level. And if you're a startup and you don't have money, you can't pay someone for their level of expertise. That's the challenge we face here. Is there's too many smart people just wanting to get paid instead of, you know what, I'm going to roll up my sleeves and I'm going to help you. So that's my challenge to everyone. And it doesn't mean you give away free time. Create contractual agreements that you're now on the cap table, that you're supporting it, from legal to marketing to business development to technology. It's all there. We all sit on these panels or we all go to these presentations in New Mexico. What do we need? We need really good CEOs from outside of the state to come take an idea to the next level. We need our community to help each other out. And what I've found as the biggest struggle.
That's what happens
Yeah, when you
Touch
move
the
it and it
screen.
gets off the thing. This is the biggest struggle I have found. If you're doing something innovative that doesn't match those three, no one helps. And I'm giving a personal testimonial. I say the same thing all the time. I'm very open. I'm very transparent. What you see is what you get. I say the exact same stuff in New Mexico that I tell people outside of the state. I had a conversation yesterday with the former orthopedic surgeon for the Chicago Bulls during Jordan's heyday. Adam, I want to help in any which way that I can. We're now talking to him from investment to medical advisor to our chief medical officer. And I've had the same conversation in New Mexico. Oh, cool, Adam. Yeah, good idea. Here's an accelerator you should go to. Here's some advice that you should do. I'm challenging this community. It has to change or we're not going to change. It doesn't start with government money. It doesn't start with government ideas. This is the foundation of how we can support each other. I've had the same conversations. That's why I'm building a team. So if you look at David, my COO, he's on the call. He's now my co-founder. And Eric, who's on the far right, is our lead advisor. I got tired of advisorators. I got tired of people telling me what I should do. And if you've met Eric, he's a totally different breed of person. He's been in our shoes. He started companies in Philadelphia. He retired here, and he really wants to get back to the ecosystem. He changed my thinking. One of the things he highlighted is, Adam, you're not a technology company. Well, guess who is telling me I'm a technology company? Accelerators. I'm not a technology company. I'm a technology empowered service company. Once he told me that, boom, totally changed everything I'm working on. And then he said, Adam, New Mexico loves solopreneurs. My wife is a dentist. It's easy for her to go to the bank and get a big loan because people understand dentistry, and the dentist is a solopreneur. Investment world looks at a Venn diagram. How is the company going to run? And when it's on one person, it's unattainable. Like, it's not even possible. He's like, you need to find a co-founder. Understand what your strengths are, not what your limitations are, not what your weaknesses are, just where you're not as strong. So David brings corporate finance, operations experience to the table. He's been in venture settings. Now that Venn diagram is getting much stronger. We have user experience, we have some technology, and then in the bottom right, KK is another great example of how I'm taking the same message that I talk about in Albuquerque every single day, but I'm getting external support. He won a world championship with the Golden State Warriors as a physical therapist. And once we talked, he's like, Adam, I've always thought about this idea around bringing what we've done in pro sports and bringing it to the masses. Now that you're doing it, I want to help. That's the kind of attitude we have to support each other. Right, so lastly, this is my family, right? It's all bringing it back home. I hope getting up here and standing in front of you and having people on the computer really motivates our daughters. And the accelerators are valuable. I've taken a vision. Well, now we have a plan. How do we execute it? Instead of being determined, I now say it all the time. I have to be aggressively patient and patiently aggressive with my team or the idea. And it's now becoming a reality because I don't stop. I keep on going. I know there's a need. It's not about the money. I talked to someone yesterday. He's like, Adam, I love what you're doing because you're really bringing value to the world. The customers will come, the money will come, but you're doing something that is needed. And lastly, right, you can't change who you are. Right? I'm so stubborn. Right, I'm at 1 Million Cups. How can you guys help me? It's all about introductions. Number one, yes, investors are always there. It never goes away. But more so, it's introductions to individuals who understand the gap that we fill. I'm not biotech. I'm not cannabis. I'm not real estate. I'm not going to space. Who can I talk to in the state of New Mexico that's like, those are problems I face, and I've spent 10 times as much money in the healthcare system trying to find someone from a copay to unnecessary imaging and all that time. This is what I need. And then lastly, it kind of goes into that we got to support each other. We have to have better product developers in the state and business development, which is part sales, part marketing. We are always looking to grow the team to really bring this across the country. We would love to work with you. If you have interest, come and talk to me. And our tagline is be a lifelong athlete. We're not selling injuries. I'm not selling to get someone stronger, faster, more explosive. That's the fitness industry, and selling industries is healthcare. We're in the middle, and we're really creating that spectrum across the board. So hopefully I inspired you. Hopefully it makes sense. Hopefully you guys are shaking your head and there's someone you want to go talk to and support. But now let's open it up to whatever questions you guys have.
So thanks very much. If you have a question for Adam, please line up here, introduce yourself and tell them what organization you're with. Thanks.
My name's Eve Bain, and I am a retired nurse and diabetes educator who also worked in the telecommunications field. I'm handing you my card. I have a lot of networking things for you, but I am in the middle of a real estate deal. My ex-husband and I fixed homes and sold them to stay ahead of inflation, even though he was a telecommunication engineer and I was full-time RN. So I've tried to connect with people. It's very difficult. I have like this whole database and I'll just send it to you.
Cool.
It's a lot easier for me. As I say, I've got people messaging me because they're coming to do an outside of one of my rental properties, so I'm hoping to sell. So I know some of the people in this room right now can give you bilingual capacity. There's a fellow who runs a nonprofit and he works out of the Sandia Pueblo, but he is basically a golfing pro, and his name is Nota Bagay. I probably bungled his first name. Bagay, I got right.
Noda.
Nota, say it. Noda,
Tigers.
but it's also his brother. I mean, they fund little projects.
You know Noda's brother?
No, I'm just gonna hook you up with every connection I have and how to access that. Because I do have somebody texting me, they're gonna come do an inspection on the outside of my house, so I gotta go. Thank you.
No, thanks. We'll be in touch.
Take care.
Come on up. And then Eric, you can go next. And then we'll just go back and forth.
Yeah, Adam, as you knew that the other day, your talk a couple of years ago was so impactful and so perfect that I could almost repeat it back to you, right? We met at Activate and then, so I'm curious, I mean, Mike Murphy and I are both in track and we're trying to work a different part of that. It doesn't really overlap yours, but I am really curious of how far you've gotten in your business. Like, are you in the different sports and health things? Are you with teams? Are you doing that kind of thing within New Mexico that has that platform plus users?
All right, that's a whole nother presentation, but I will give the cliff notes. I mentioned that we're a technology-enabled service company. So we have a prototype. We've had customers that have paid for it. Their improvement or their function has improved. Their symptoms have decreased. They love talking to a sports medicine professional that treats them like an athlete instead of just a general public. And they love feeling empowered and doing stuff on their own. So we have that traction. That prototype is one of our partners that is around like musculoskeletal management. Our vision is a little bit bigger. So when we are raising money, it's to build out the central hub, the platform that integrates all these other technology platforms to create this end-to-end solution. So we've had traction up to that point. Now we're actually in discussions with a pretty big platform that started this week that doesn't make us go find money to build out the platform to then go to customers. It's all about go to market quickly. I can talk with a sports organization in 10 minutes. They're like, yeah, I want to be part of it. We have rugby clubs, I said marathons, we talked to high schools. We've never had that actual product that we can go sell. So that's our main focus now is how do we build out this product that we can sit down with someone and say, look, this is how it works. And then we'll learn pricing models, we'll learn out feature set, workflows, but that's where we are right now. It's building out the actual product or working with this partnership.
He's probably the better guy to talk to about it.
Well,
Hold on, it's just-
I think Eric is next.
Eric, you're next.
Boy, let's see. You've already answered one or two of the questions that were on my short list. But speaking about product, one of the things that when we talked a little bit about this, and you mentioned some of the things that are seen as sort of gaps in New Mexico, one of the things that feels like it's something we don't have that necessarily the mindset. I think there's entrepreneurial and innovative mindset, but it's sort of like that product mindset doesn't seem to be around. Can you talk a little bit about how you're thinking on kind of how you deliver product has evolved and how that's affected how you're growing your team?
Yeah. I come from a service background. So as an athletic trainer, like a dentist, like a physician, like an orthopedic surgeon, that service is a 1-to-1 ratio. And now there's telemedicine and telehealth, but all that is an extension of the same service outside of the brick and mortar office. That's all it is. It's the exact same thing. What we're doing is how do we take a scalable service, leverage technology, and support more people at once to create a big funnel. And then as they come in with problems, we can then deliver that one-on-one service. So I think that's been the biggest change of the last 12 months is how do we put a big lasso around athletes? And then when they need that personalized care, we're delivering it to them. So I can stand up here and I can talk about this big vision, this big grandiose idea. But if I don't have the team of people taking the vision and making it tangible from MVP 0.001, then MVP 0.003 because of customer feedback, the idea has just been stagnant for too many years. And it's not because we haven't tried. We just didn't find the right people that could help us build the feedback we're getting from customers. So I think that really answers Eric's question is we went from a service to now we're a tech-enabled service, but we need the technology product managers to take that service to the next level. And that's what we're looking for now. So Eric, does that help answer it? Yes, we'll say yes.
You couldn't hear me. I was thumbs upping, but I'm somewhere on the screen someplace.
Adam, I'm Brian Steiner. I own Noventum Custom Software. I really liked your 4 slides, and we definitely fit into the contractor mentality. I talked to Adam about a year and a half ago, and I said, Adam, I really like what you're doing. I can't help you unless we get paid, right? So we build products, we launch products, we iterate products. And it's not that I have the wrong mentality, or I don't want to, or I don't believe in Adam. It's that when you're on an airplane, you're supposed to put on your safety mask before you put on the mask of other people, right? And with Noventum, we can work on 1 subsidized product per year, and it's not even free, right? They have to pay. We just can give them a discount. I have, 9 people. I'm not a huge company. And I would say it's more that the whole ecosystem needs to be built up, right? If we can become more successful as Noventum, maybe that can be 2, maybe that can be 3. Maybe I can work on something that can scale a little bit better, right? And I would love to do that with you. But I see the problem as just a general economic lack of resources, right? If you have investor money, if you have super profitable contracts, I can use some of those profits to offset some projects like yours. And that's what I see, as a guy that's launching products, is it's just a big problem with the whole ecosystem. So, more of a testimonial or a monologue than a question, but that's my perspective. But I did really like that slide.
No, thanks. No, I mean, I agree. I don't even have a rebuttal. It's just yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Dan.
Because it wasn't a question, so I don't have to answer it.
Hi, Miriam Ortiz-Pino with More Than Organized. Great presentation again. I would push Brian a little bit on, I'm in the same boat. I often have to take a client over giving back, but to find some way to give time or resources or just an ear for a few minutes. Love how you're making the connection, because that first time you presented, you had not quite made that connection about technology versus service and then how to transfer that to a product. And I'm not sure if you've ever looked outside of the medical and athletic coaching sphere, but a lot of those other kinds of coaches take services and scale them with product. Some of the information is crap and doesn't actually work. I mean, on paper it works, but it doesn't actually. But I'm wondering if there's any research you've done in that arena that gives you some good ideas to, not to add your to-do list, but
No, it's like.
maybe
a,
if we talk,
yeah.
I've seen something
Like an
that,
example to follow.
right.
Yeah.
Just because that process is hard. I'm struggling with the same one in terms of taking the service to product and how to do it. Totally different arena, but
No, I appreciate the idea. The only layer of complexity is when you deal with health. There's a lot of license and regulation, whereas anyone can be like a personal trainer or a private coach, that
right,
there's no regulation. You just do whatever you want. So because we
Right.
have that layer of complexity and just oversight,
Mhm.
we just have to have a couple processes in place. But there are
Right.
things that we can learn from other industries.
Yeah, I was
about
thinking
what
in
they're
terms of
doing.
the project management.
Yep.
of it. But anyway,
It's
I'd
super
love
helpful.
to talk, and I still think your idea about we need to lift each other up because we have a hard time in New Mexico, right? People don't think we can do. That's that mindset, and I think we really do need to change that a lot.
Okay.
So,
I appreciate it.
Bill, you had some inputs and then we'll go here. Sorry. Bill,
Hi, I remember, Adam, your last presentation when I was in New Mexico, and I remember meeting you at cafe, was it, afterwards, and we had a chat. I really like your presentation today. You have a lot of what I call strategic business sense. And so there are a number of things that you've said here, which I think are worth repeating. And one of them, I think, is you may, from my point of view, I think you're underestimating what's going on in New Mexico. But some of the things I liked about what you said, the sole purpose is to keep people on the field. So whatever your business is that you're doing, you have a purpose, and your purpose is defined very clearly. And if you're all the entrepreneurs that are sitting there and all the ones that want to be entrepreneurs, this is a great line for you guys to actually pick up on. And following on from that, you said that your company creates an end-to-end solution, and you're a trainer on their side, and you should take advice to the next level. And I like those because I actually believe in that. And there are a couple of companies that I've worked with there in New Mexico where I've actually gone back and re-engaged with the owners and measured and seen how they're growing within their organization. So I think that's a really good point that you put out there as well. And I think the other point is really understand the gap that you filled. And all of these are really great strategies. And I can see why you're successful. But the other one I want to question is the business cohesion area in New Mexico is far, far better than I've seen it in New York. Now, when I was in New York, before I came to New Mexico, it was extremely difficult for me to get my business up and going because the ecosystem wasn't there. Everybody was in silos. The universities, the community colleges, the economic development, all these different organizations all want to do their own thing. And when I came to New Mexico, I was really surprised how well the interaction was between the different organizations. And I didn't really get to grips with that until I came to 1 Million Cups. And I started talking to people like Eric and Paul and other people that actually do bring people together. So I would say to the people there, yes, you may have still a long way to go in the cohesive nature of the business within New Mexico, but you have a far, far better ecosystem for entrepreneurs than we have here in New York. Now, I've come back to New York and I'm relaunching again here, and I'm struggling. If I had half of what you got in New Mexico here, I would be happy. So whilst I understand that that people should do more and should do something to change the world, I think you said, and then I agree with that. Don't underestimate what you do have there. From somebody who's been outside in there and come back out again, you do have a good ecosystem. Just need to improve upon it, I guess. They were my inputs, and I think you did a really good presentation.
Thanks, Phil.
No, thank you. The one thing I'll say, not about his comparison of the New Mexico ecosystem to New York, but how we started the conversation. And if you're an athlete, which 80% of you raised your hand and said you are in our definition, all you really want is access to advice and support. That's it. You don't want a free ACO repair. You don't want to have someone take your hand and bring you to the gym every single day. You just want to know, how bad is this? Or what should I do to make it better? Or can you get me to the next level of support, like he just mentioned, as quickly as possible? And at the core of what we're building, that's it. It's an access to advice and support model with technology, with people, et cetera. That's the biggest takeaway from what he mentioned.
Awesome.
Hi, Adam. I'm Alan. I'm a computer scientist, and something that really stuck out to me when you were talking about B2B versus B2C was to what level are you marketing to businesses? Are you marketing exclusively to things which involve teams, or are you marketing to gyms that might then essentially resale to their customers? What is that?
Great question. That's a marketing, business development, execution answer. It's understanding the enterprise that we're talking to. So gyms have a different problem set than a high school. And a gym has a different revenue model than a high school, right? So if we talk about a high school, like I grew up in Angel Fire, I went to Cimarron High School. We did not have an athletic trainer, small, super rural. And I've talked with small high schools, the New Mexico Activities Association, their sports medicine advisory committee, and I've talked to the National Federation of High Schools. They love what we're talking about because we level the playing field between small and rural and big and urban. There's a huge opportunity there, but the payer will be tax dollars, right? Because it has to be in the budget of the school. We talk about a gym, their main problem is member retention. So if you get injured, like I talked about, and you go to the healthcare system, like, hey, you got to wear a boot for 6 weeks. They immediately go to the gym and say, I want to suspend my membership because they can't use it. So we look as a member value add with the gym while creating an all-inclusive, like virtual athletic training model for the high school. To do the full circle, I'm not a marketing expert. That's not my expertise. I know how to talk about it, but I need the collateral. I need someone to help build it out. But guess what that costs? It costs money. So if there's marketing people that are like, I love your idea, I want to support it, then let's work together. And I think this is really big for founders. If you own 100% of your company and you don't make any money, you own 100% of nothing. Cool. And founders have to say, I'm willing to give up a little bit to gain a lot. And that's been my philosophy. How do we bring on co-founders? How do we bring on team? How do we give out equity and marketing and sales, product development? It's all part of that conversation. So it's kind of what Brian was saying. It's like there has to be that give and take, and I totally respect. But I know how each one of those markets and those verticals can be successful. But I can't do all the grunt work and the legwork of building a one-page flyer, building out the page on the website, doing a sales deck. I need that type of help. So hopefully that helps navigate all these different verticals we talked to and how to execute each one of them.
So we still have a bit of a line. I'm going to let two of you ask questions, the first two that were in line, and then I invite you all to stay and talk with Adam after, because I'm sure you have some great input for him. But we do have some events to share, and I think there's some newbies in the room. I'd like to introduce themselves to whoever was next. Maybe next to you.
Oh, sorry. I'm Danielle. I own Conscious Crossroads End of Life Services. First off, great presentation, great demeanor, attitude, kept me engaged, awesome.
Stay on the edge of her seat.
Kind of just a comment on the whole, helping each other out and whatnot and resources. I'm hearing a lot of scarcity mindset. being talked about. Like, there's just not enough to go around, and that's just not the case. We have an abundance of time and energy and effort and money, and it's out there waiting to be pulled out of the ether, basically. And so let's switch that up a little bit. Question, will this be limited to musculoskeletal injuries and things like that? I asked specifically because I recently had a major abdominal surgery. Kicked out of the hospital. Oh, you can get to the bathroom on your own. You don't need PT.
Yep.
Figure it out.
Yep.
So would I be a good customer for this platform?
Right, if any found in the room, you have to start in a niche before you try to do everything at once. We started with athletics, because that's my background, so I know it. There is an opportunity for the overall service to expand into general health and like the general population. So an abdominal injury could still be a sports related, that we would have the understanding of how to properly not just treat it, but also navigate the appropriate additional resources, right? Those downstream resources. But if you had surgery, it might be outside of our scope. So I don't want to say yes or no. It's just we have to focus on one thing first. And that obviously there's a lot of people that are athletes. But if you were like, well, I want to get back to whatever sport, hiking,
Then yes. Okay.
skiing, whatever you want, whatever you personally want to do, then it could work. But if someone has a stroke, we don't need to address that right now because that's the whole healthcare system. It's already doing it. Like with that, what I described, we're serving the most underserved population in healthcare, which I describe as the healthy and the active. There's really no resources for you. Hey, you're healthy, you're on your own. When you tear your ACL, when you have a bike accident, we can help you, but we don't really focus on prevention and early intervention. So hopefully that helps.
Awesome.
JJ Johnson, I run Johnson Brothers Automotive. And you talking about athletes and that kind of thing made me think of the workman's comp kind of thing, particularly in the automotive industry. Technicians are in a position of beating their bodies. And when they're injured, it, similar to athletics, costs the company quite a bit of money. And I'm wondering if you've thought about the workman's comp type of service. And then I'm also wondering if having a conversation within the automotive industry would be something you would be interested in. I've got some people that I could introduce you to that that might be a good contact.
One question, how much time do I have to answer it? That's a long answer.
1 minute.
There's
We can talk.
a ton of work comp programs already out there.
Okay.
Because they're chasing the money.
Yep.
That they know it is there. So we're not going down the work comp route.
Okay.
If an employer has employees that are healthy and they're active.
Right.
We can help them.
Okay.
So yes, we can support an employer, but it's not through the traditional
Wouldn't be the
route
workman
of
comp.
work comp. Yeah, because that's a lot of regulation. It's a whole different business model that we work with those people, but we could help your employees stay healthy and active. So then they would decrease the risk of having a work comp claim because they're moving better, they're stronger, they're more flexible.
Okay.
So it's more of a front end service that we do.
Cool. I may talk to the
Yeah, let me
people
know.
that I know. And
Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
Paul, you want to ask the last 2 questions?
Well, it is my honor to ask you the official state question, red or green.
Yeah, I mean, I'm stubborn, right? So, I mean, it depends. I'll do both.
There you go.
Okay.
He's
the best
C at
thing.
heart,
I
he's an
can't go
engineer. You ask him a
Can't go wrong.
question, he says it depends. So the other question, and I think you've addressed this deeply, but here's your chance to give a concise answer. What can the community do for you?
If you want to try it, you can go to our website, waveonhealth.com. You'll see the blue button, click it. You'll start your survey, your information, and then it goes into a personal questionnaire. All feedback is good feedback. You'll get to learn about yourself. So I would say that's it. And then, like I said, any introductions you have, I'll be here for a half an hour. I can chat.
So let's thank Adam again for not only giving us insight into his company, but giving us a charge to the community to lift each other up. Thank you.
All right, I see Sneaky's in the room. Who are new? Are you David? Come on up, David. Here, introduce yourself to the audience. And then this gentleman, are you new? Have you been? You're not new. Anybody else? Never been here before? Come on up. You've never been here before? Come and get in front of the camera so the Zoom audience can see you. Tell us who you are, what your business is, and how you heard about 1 Million Cups.
All right, I'm David Augustiniak, the founder and vision maker at the Art Farm Unincorporated, UNI Fungi, founder of the Southwest Fungi Fest and the Gray Area. So I'm just here hopefully to talk about all kinds of different avenues of business. My sister actually helped me out. She started working for Fat Pipe out in the East Mountains. So.
And David's going to be a presenter coming up because I have contacts. So awesome, David.
Thanks.
He's fulfilled his first requirement.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jesse Noyes, born and raised here in Albuquerque, working directly here with my business partners, Robert and Melissa. We're going to run one of the largest insurance and financial agencies in the whole state of New Mexico. Our purpose and what we're doing here is we want to impact our community. We want to eradicate financial illiteracy here. Coming up, growing up here, I found out that a lot of people don't know about how to save money, make money, invest, and things like that. And how I was able to help my own family really impacted me. And I realized that so many people need help, especially in the Hispanic community. I'm Mexican, right? And, there's so much help that we need. And I love this. It's my first time here. So I really look forward to be able to collaborate with everybody and see how we can help each other out.
Thanks for coming.
Hey, everybody. My name is Mike Romo. I also work with Jesse and Robert and Melissa. This isn't my first career. My first career was in the fire service. I'm retired from the Albuquerque Fire Department. So I spent 20 years serving people, working for other people. What happened to Adam, I could easily have run that call. So I know exactly what he's talking about. But now I work on the financial side. And I look back to the calls I ran, and that's my purpose. It's looking back to the people the incidents and things that I work with folks. And I never thought about it then, but I think now, gosh, did they have something in place? Because if they didn't, their future is radically different than if they did. And so that's our goal with building the largest financial organization in the state of New Mexico, is fixing that, preventing that. We're on the prevention side now too. I was on the reaction side before, but now I'm on the prevention side. So thanks so much.
Welcome.
And if you guys have Instagram, follow me at mikeromo.php. I hope there's some value there and at least some entertainment.
Hello. My name is Ana Raela. I'm a realtor and investor. And I just came here because my friend invited me. So, John. So,
Welcome. Thanks for coming. All right, I do have a list of events that I can share. I did post these online, so those of you online have it. There's a founder syndicate peer meeting tonight at New Space Launchpad. I think it probably starts at 5 p.m. So that's tonight. We've got Ingela Onsted's workshop tomorrow at the Bioscience Center. It's called Confident Pitching, How to Manage Mind and Body. There's a lot of people registered. That one's going to be a great session. So you can go to our website or there's a link in Eventbrite. Activate NM notified me that New Mexico startup office hours are February 17th from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Jason Burnett, who gave a presentation just a few weeks ago, his 6-part monthly series, it's a leadership series, is going to start on February 23rd. It'll be 11:30 here at Fat Pipe BBQ. We do ask that you register in advance. And the first session is called What Type of Leader Are You? And then Startup Fiesta, the Startup Showcase, is going to be held March 9th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Chatter Downtown ABQ. That's what I was able to gather. Does anybody else have something they need to share?
Ski lift pitch.
Ski lift pitch. You can go and watch and see who wins, I guess, right?
Right.
Ski with all
Registration
them.
closed.
Registration's closed. Awesome. To present.
To present.
Yeah, but I think you can go to Taos and
Yes.
ski with all of them and have a great day and see who won.
Yeah.
So Paul,
Well, I can't remember a 1 Million Cup session where there was a clearer charge to the community than what Adam just gave. So every one of you out there has training and life experience that is the missing piece to somebody else in here. So you just have to have a lot of unproductive collisions until you find that one where you actually make a real connection. And you're helping that person or they're helping you with their startup. And most people here are entrepreneurs. So everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's got a problem that they find it hard to talk about in front of all these people, but do it one-on-one. 1 million cups, it pains me to say, is not the only resource that the community has. I'm recommending the Founders Syndicate event tonight. I've been to one of those events. It looks like they're getting off on the right foot and they're tremendously supportive and it's all about founders. I've been part of NM Bio, which has also been fantastic, but it's industry specific. So there's all kinds of stuff out there. And it reminds me of, in one of my travels, I stopped at Klein's Corners, and I recommend that you put $1 in the Zoltar machine and listen to what he has to say. This is a fortune teller. And he says, if you're looking for a helping hand, try the one at the end of your arm. I'm like, so part of making the community get up to speed is rolling up your sleeves and working on the stuff that you can do right now between this week and next. So I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Thanks, everybody. See you next week.